In this badge, we'll be working with strings in Ruby. Strings are one of the basic classes that you'll be encountering throughout most of your Ruby programming. Strings are very similar in Ruby as they are in other programming languages, but with the added benefit that strings are objects, just like everything else in Ruby. Now that we know what strings are, we're going to go over a few different ways to create them. For most of this badge, we'll be using IRB. So go ahead to your terminal and type IRB to launch IRB. In the last video, we learned how to instantiate objects of classes. We can do the same thing with strings. In order to create a new string, we can call the new method on the string class. And we can see the return is a new blank string. That little equals greater than sign is called the hash rocket, and that signifies what was returned. If we wanted to instantiate the string with some text inside of it, we could call string.new and give it some text. And that instantiates a string with the text hello world. We can also assign this to a variable. And that creates a new string with the text hello world. If we type the variable name again and press enter, we should see hello world on the screen. We can also print it to the screen. And you can see hello world was printed. The hash rocket says nil. That means that nothing was returned. In this case, nothing was returned from the puts method. Creating strings by calling string.new isn't the only way that you can create strings in Ruby. There are actually many different ways that you can create strings. One way is to use single quotes to create a string. And we can see a new string was created. If we wanted to assign it to the variable s again, we can do that too. And we can see the variable s contains the text that we had in there. You can also use double quotes to create a string. And we can see the variable s contains the same text that we just put in. You might be wondering what the difference is between single and double quotes. The difference is something called interpolation. When creating a string with single quotes, the string is not interpolated. That means that if we wanted to put variables inside there, it wouldn't be escaped. I'll show you an example of that right now. I'm going to assign my name to a variable called name. Now, I'm going to print my name to the screen using double quotes. And it says, hello, Jason. You'll see right here this funny character with a pound and curly braces, followed by the variable. In that case, the string is being interpolated, which just means that it's calling the value of the variable. If we were to use single quotes here, those characters would actually print. And we can see the funny characters printed rather than the value of the variable. That's called interpolation. There are some other ways to create strings in Ruby, besides just single and double quotes. You can use the percent sign and curly braces to set a variable. This is interpolated. If you wanted that to not be interpolated, you could use a Q before the curly braces. Instead of using curly braces, you can use almost any character you want to. Let's say I wanted to use a vertical bar. it sets the variable the same way. The final method is something called a HereDoc. In that case, what you do is type the less than sign 2 times, followed by a dash, and then capital letters of what you want the doc to be called. In this case, I'm calling it str for string. Anything I put inside here will show up inside of the variable. To end it, I type those capital letters that I set it to. In this case, str. And it set my name. You'll see this funny little symbol right here, \n. That's a new line character. And that's how you create a string in Ruby. In the next video, we'll be talking about special characters and escaping.